Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something super cool. We've got ourselves a brand new Titanic Creations release. Again, a collaboration with Dope Pope, because you can see his logo as well down there on the bottom right hand corner. And it's another Gorgo. How epic is that? There is definitely not enough Gorgo love out there, so Titanic Creations continuing to pay tribute to this incredible kaiju is always extremely exciting. This is now, I think, the third version of Gorgo from them. There was the original version, which was unbelievable. Then there was the giant vinyl version, which was unbelievable. And now there's this version, which is the aquatic version of Gorgo, which looks to be, yep, you guessed it, unbelievable. You can see the box art is also fantastic. I love this image of the blue Gorgo here on the front with the pterosaurs back there flying by a volcano. Very vintage-like for sure, which is exactly the feel you would want for Gorgo. You can see 26 points of articulation, kind of giving you an example of some of the articulation you have. This is again the aquatic version and does include the infant, which I actually did not realize. And then we also have fully posable articulated prehistoric sea monster. Does it get cooler than that? I'd say no. The box art continues to look awesome as you move around, and then you can see again here on the back basically some more really nice images, as well as like some sea serpents fighting down here, which is also super cool. Man, the artwork for these sets, it's just genius. Like, there's a 0% chance when you get a Titanic Creations release that you can toss the box art. You just can't do it. It's impossible. And then again, you can basically see the tail over here, and then up on the top, a really nice Gorgo logo. So let's pop this open and check it out. So there is our Gorgo family, and they look absolutely awesome in these bluish colors. They really did a good job choosing the tones of colors. I remember when they put up the poll, kind of giving people the opportunity to decide what the color scheme would be that they would go with for this Gorgo release. I really thought that the aquatic version was a fantastic choice all around, and seeing it now actually here before me, definitely the right choice to go with. It looks excellent in these bluish colors. Of course, we're going to take a look at them one by one, and we'll bring in our beautiful Gorgo here nice and close. And when you get nice and close, you can see again, the figure looks awesome. You've got some really nice variations of blues, basically like a really dark blue for the primary body color, and then some beautiful light blue, almost like blue-green dry brushing that you see over the figure, which does help to really bring out a lot of the detail. You see it even moving up there onto the ear area of our Gorgo. Let's lift the camera up just a little bit, make it a little easier to take a look at. We've also got some really nice blue eyes, and as you can see, you've got a white, then a blue, then a black pupil with a nice white spot to give it the eye shine, which looks really good. Awesome shot here of Gorgo from the front. You can see the nostrils and everything. The sculpt on this one is exactly the same as the first version. It is just strictly a repaint, but a really cool repaint, no doubt about that. You do, of course, have an articulated jaw. We can see the teeth here of Gorgo, painted with a very nice white tone of color, and you've got a beautiful pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth on the tongue, but a darker pink there around the tongue area, so a little variation to the pinkish tones. You've got the pink there on the inside of the mouth on the upper side as well. Articulation-wise, it is going to have all the same articulation that the first Gorgo had, so you are able to move the head and completely spin it around if you choose to, and also again move the head up and down, so some fantastic articulation there. As you move down, you do have more articulation in the neck, but it might be a little bit stiff. You should never force these. I'm probably not setting a good example, but you do have the ability to move this area of the neck as well, a little bit forward and back, mostly just side to side, which works quite nicely. You do have that darker bluish tone there in the throat area, but as you move down into the underbelly of Gorgo, you start to pick up a light blue as well as like a very interesting, almost like a red-orange tone of color that kind of stripes down the center of Gorgo. And you see that lead all the way out there through the tail, which does look pretty cool and definitely does give Gorgo an element of flashiness on the underbelly of the figure. As you move around to the back, though, I think they did a really good job of applying this blue, again, with like a dry brushing sort of a technique where it just helps to highlight all of the very armored scutes and skin texture on the back of Gorgo, leading leading down, and you see it lead the entire way out through the tail back here as well, which again does look pretty cool. As you lead down through the arms, you pretty much have again the dark blues with the light blue dry brushing, and then leading into the hands, the claws are painted with a very bright white, so they really stand out, also helping you to show how, again, genuinely sharp they look. Articulation wise in the arm, you can move the arms forward and back, also out away from the body, and then you have the elbow as well, which goes forward and back, can swivel, and then the wrist as well, which is on a really nice ball joint, so you can again articulate the arm all over the place wherever you would like. As you move down through the Gorgo, once you get to the midsection, you've got this nice little area again of swivel articulation in the midsection, which can continue to move if you really want to force it around. Not really much in the way of up and down, but definitely some nice swiveling in that spot. As you lead down into the legs, you can see some more of the lighter tones kind of showing up, nicely airbrushed there. As you lead down into the feet, you can see we have that lighter tone kind of over top of the nails, but also highlighting the tips of the toes as well. Articulation-wise here, again, forward and back. Also out away from the body. Same deal for the knee, forward and back, can swivel. And then you've also got a swivel in the ankle, which works nicely, as well as articulated toes. The toes do all articulate together, which you can very clearly see, but definitely, again, some nice additions as far as posability, so you can get Gorgo kind of stepping up onto things and curling the toes over them. As you lead out into the tail, you then have a ton of articulated joints the entire way out, allowing you to turn and articulate the tail pretty much anywhere and everywhere you would like. So definitely, again, as super articulated as it gets for a Gorgo. And this is definitely a great choice to give you that kind of underwater Gorgo, especially if you missed the first version. Then you do have the baby version. So technically this is Gorgo's mother, and this would be Gorgo, I guess, itself. In a way, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But I just always term them all Gorgo, like it's just the way they always were to me. But you can see, again, same sculpt as the original baby version that we had in the first set, same paintwork as the mother that we have here, where we have the light tone moving along the underbelly, the kind of like red-orange, but not quite as vibrant, definitely a little bit lighter, looking a little more orangey than anything. You also can see a little bit more of that coloration there for the inside of the mouth. We can see the eyes are painted with a black, the claws painted with a nice bright white, and then you do have, again, the dark bluish tone of the body with the dry brushing of that lighter blue, like that blue-green, moving through the body of baby Gorgo. You can see the feet, again, having that light tone, highlighting the edges of of course, the claws, but also the tips of the toes, and you can even see the very precise paintwork for the dew claws there on the back of the leg. And yes, that lighter coloration there runs the entire way through the underside. But that is an absolutely epic addition to this set as well. A really, really cool aquatic version of Gorgo. Love the fact that we now have like this underwater version. So I think that's about all we really need to do. We don't need to, of course, measure it or do any of that stuff. We did already do all of that with the very first release of Gorgo, and if you have not seen that review yet, or the large vinyl review, I highly recommend checking those out, so you can see what the original versions of the Gorgo figure looked like. But if you do already have the original version of Gorgo, I absolutely recommend grabbing this one as well, because it is a very cool repaint. I personally love repaints, and it in general has, again, that really neat look of like Gorgo underwater, which I really enjoy, and then gives you the option of having the on land and underwater versions, again, hence the aquatic name. But I think they did a very good job on the paint apps of this one. Very nice looking overall, nice smooth transitions, nice dry brushing techniques helping to bring the detail out. Very well done overall when it comes to both the adult and the baby. The articulation is just as smooth on this one as it was on the original Gorgo, so that's great news as well. Very nice, very impressive articulation the entire way through. And of course, again, the fact that they have both the adult and the baby is just awesome. And now if you really want, you can have the original Gorgo with the baby and then this Gorgo with the other baby, and it's like you have two different color versions of Gorgo. Maybe one's the male, one's the female, I don't know, but definitely a neat way to look at it. But either way, even if you do have the other one, like I said, I absolutely recommend picking this one up. And if you don't have the first version, then either way this is a win, because Gorgo figures are few and far between. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase it on Titanic Creations website right now. It's very important to keep in mind this is a limited edition, so if you do want it, I would recommend grabbing it as soon as possible before it sells out and you miss out again on this version, like many people unfortunately missed out on the first version. Again, if you are interested, check that link. Absolutely pick this up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.